Hello Murder Crew, welcome to another Pokemon guide. Today our spotlight Pokemon is Tentacruel. So who is Tentacruel? Tentacruel may take inspiration from the jellyfish and the Portuguese man-o'-war. Man-o'-war? It also shares some characteristics of squid. So it's like a, I don't know, it's like a jellyfish, squid, man-o'-war Pokemon. So that's kind of cool. Tentacruel is a combination of tentacle and cruel, makes sense, or ruler, referencing it as the line's final evolutionary stage. So it's kind of like a ruler of all the tentacle Pokemon, I guess. So like all the tentacles and any other Pokemon that are like that. I can't think of the other tentacle Pokemon, the one has a crown in its head. I can't think of the name of it. In the Pokemon Red and Blue Beta, Tentacruel was originally known as Man-o'-war. So that's pretty cool. The Tentacruel name was actually supposed to be Man-o'-war back before Pokemon even began during the Red and Blue Beta. So let's go over to Tentacruel's stats. Tentacruel is a poison water type Pokemon. It has abilities Clear Body, Liquid Ooze, and the hidden ability Rain Dish. Its tier is UU. It has 80 base hit points, 70 base attack, 65 base defense, 80 base special attack, not bad, 120 base special defense, that's really good, and 100 in speed. Now, when I think of Tentacruel, I don't actually think of it as a fast Pokemon, but 100 base speed is actually pretty good to deal with. So we kind of have a mindset of where we're going to go with this Tentacruel setup, looking at that special defense boosting. And for having a fast speed. Alright, let's check out Tentacruel's weaknesses and resistances. Tentacruel has a lot of resistances, as we can see that the green is very flourishing in this stat sheet. But we have very few orange. As you can see, there's 2 times weakness to ground type moves, electric moves, and psychic moves. So if they bring in a psychic Pokemon against you, or an electric type, or a ground type, which you would think with electric there would be against a water type, you would think that would come into play. But it's half times resistant towards fighting, towards poison, towards bug, towards steel, towards fire, towards water, towards ice, and fairy. So it's very resistant towards a very big field of the game, which means Tentacruel is a pretty good Pokemon to have on your team, and actually is one of my favorite Pokemon. If I didn't have to choose between so many other Pokemon, I would definitely choose Tentacruel to be on my team. Tentacruel makes a very good lead Pokemon, which we will see as we go over to Pokemon Showdown. See you guys there. Alright, here we are on Pokemon Showdown. We got Tentacruel here. Our item that we're always using this item, but it's so good. Leftovers. It restores 1/16 of the user's max hit points. I know if it was in the game, we would definitely be using Black Sludge instead. Black Sludge reads, each turn if holder is a poison type, restores 1/16 max hit points, but loses 1/8 if not. So this is just in case if a Pokemon uses Trick and switches items with the user. So Black Sludge would be a better move in this case since Tentacruel is a poison type Pokemon. But since we don't have Black Sludge, we're gonna go with Leftovers, and it's not a huge, letdown. Black Sludge is nice, but Leftovers is just as good. For our ability, Clear Body is good. It prevents the other Pokemon from lowering this Pokemon's stat stages. But Liquid Ooze is just way better, in my opinion. Liquid Ooze, this Pokemon damages those draining hit points from it for as much as they would heal. Meaning for a move like, let's say, Giga Drain. If a Pokemon tries to use Giga Drain on you just because you're using a Tentacruel, the hit points that it would get from damaging you, it would actually be hurting that Pokemon that's using Giga Drain. So instead of healing itself, it would be hurting itself, which is pretty huge, especially when Pokemon want to, use grass type moves on Tentacruel, and Giga Drain is going to be, basically nullified, and it's going to be actually doing, a double-edged sword to itself. It also kind of prevents things like Leech Seed or Dream Eater. I think it prevents Dream Eater. It takes away life, it takes away hit points to try to replenish itself. So I think Liquid Ooze nullifies that. Let's go over to moves. Our first move is going to be Knockoff. It's actually an egg move for Tentacruel. Knockoff is a physical move, does 65 power. It does actually 1.5 damage if foe is holding an item. So let's say that they're holding the leftovers. This will do 1.5 times as much damage than it would originally if it didn't hold an item. It actually knocks off the opposing item. Let's say if they were holding leftovers, they're no longer holding leftovers if Knockoff lands. And it has 100% accuracy, so Knockoff is still going to land. And it will hinder them. So while we're gaining our hit points with leftovers nicely, they won't be. So Knockoff is a pretty good move. We got our usual move on Tentacruel. You will always see this on a Tentacruel. Normally, if they don't, it's kind of weird. It has 80 power. It's a special type move. Does 30% chance to burn the target. So if the Pokemon gets burned, that means you were lucky with the 30% chance of burning the target. And if you're using this move while you're frozen, it actually thaws the user. So that's very helpful, especially if they're trying to do the ice hacks. Try to get you frozen, and you're like, nah, I got Scald, so you thaw. So that's really great. So Scald's an overall pretty good move, and Tentacruel definitely deserves to have that move set. Another move that Tentacruel will be using is Toxic... Oh, whoops, that's all in one word. That's not a thing. Toxic Spikes. Toxic Spikes is a field effect. Poisons grounded foes on switch in. So let's say that, for some reason they switch in a Torterra. They're going to get poisoned, but if they try to switch in with like a Gengar, then the Gengar won't be poisoned because it's Levitate, or if they try to switch it in with a Talonflame, they won't get poisoned because it's flying. So Pokemon they have to be grounded in order to be poisoned by Toxic Spikes, or even be damaged, and that's true for Spikes. And if they're using Stealth Rocks, then those Pokemon will definitely get damaged by Stealth Rocks. That's why Stealth Rocks is such a good move. So we got Knockoff, we have Scald, they have Toxic Spikes, and our final move would be Rapid Spin. Rapid Spin is a very good move, especially if you got to support Tentacruel. Rapid Spin reads 20 power, so it's not going to do any sort of really good damage output, especially if you're going to try doing, let's say that they get 1 hit point because they have Focus Sash, then Rapid Spin will be a good move to just use to finish off, because it has 100% accuracy. It frees the user from hazards / partial traps / Leech Seed. So Rapid Spin will get rid of Toxic Spikes, not yours, but your opposing opponent's set of Toxic Spikes. So get rid of Stealth Rock, it will get rid of Spikes, Leech Seed. It will get rid of all those moves or field effects, so freeing your team from seeing those hazards. So Rapid Spin is actually a very good move to have on your moveset for Tentacruel, making Tentacruel a pretty usable and viable Pokemon on your team. Alright, let's go for stats. We're going to go Calm, Nature. So Calm's a pretty good nature for Tentacruel. It's going to raise special defense and lowers attack. We don't really need attack for Tentacruel. Well, if we're going to use Rapid Spin and Knockoff, then yeah, we'd probably see using attack, but nah. Those are meant to just kind of annoy your opponent and see them try and set up and you gain free turns with Tentacruel. Let's raise speed to 8. We got max special defense and the rest in hit points. So we got 248 in hit points, 252 in special defense, and 8 in speed. That's our very bulky version of Tentacruel. It's just very defensive. So it's going to take some hits, especially if they're going to try sending an electric type Pokemon. It's not going to do as much damage, especially when we got 372 invested in special defense. We got Rapid Spin, Scald, Toxic Spikes, Knockoff, Liquid Ooze, Leftovers. This Tentacruel is going to take some hits. Alright, let's go over to our second Tentacruel. This one has Leftovers, Liquid Ooze, has the moves Confuse Ray, Toxic Spikes, Scald, and Spray. Spray is a new one. It's 40 power. It has a 100% chance to lower the target's special defense by 2. So it's a good move. It'll do some damage, but it's going to lower their special defense by 2. So you're doing damage by also lowering their, just greatly lowering their special defense, and making, since Tentacruel is a pretty fast Pokemon, it's definitely going to do its second move and get it off likely first, and just kind of wiping out their Pokemon. So that's the moveset for our second one. Let's look over the stats. It's a timid nature, so it's going to raise the speed, making Tentacruel a little bit faster, and lowering the attack. We got 248 invested in hit points, 216 in defense, 28 in special defense, and 16 in speed. This is the overall all-around build for Tentacruel, and it's pretty deadly, to be honest with you. Confuse Ray, Toxic Spikes, Acid Spray, Scald, all these moves are very annoying. They have a chance to burn you, they have a chance to poison you, they have a chance to confuse you, they have a chance to, you know, lower your special defense. There's so much going on with this move set, and it's just deadly. Alright, we got our third Tentacruel here. This is actually the Tentacruel that I personally run with the movesets in the EV spread. We got Leftovers, which is a common theme. Liquidoo is another common theme. Obviously, Scald, really good. But we got Hex. Hex is a ghost type move with 65 power. Power doubles if the target has a status ailment, which means that if Scald lands with a burn, and let's say that the opposing Pokemon isn't very, you know, doesn't get damaged by water type moves very well, but if the burn's on there, then Hex will do 130 power towards that Pokemon because it does have an ailment. And if they switch to a different Pokemon and they get poisoned, that means they have a poison ailment, and that means Hex will even do, you know, it will do 130 power to that Pokemon as well because it's poisoned. And while they're getting poisoned, you're doing more damage. And of course, our last move, which is, you know, usually a must on Tentacruel, is Rapid Spin, which gets rid of, you know, their field hazards. All right, let's go over to stats. We got 240 in hit points, 244 in defense, 24 in speed. Now the reasoning I have this is because I have Nature as bold, which raises defense and lowers attack. I thought that, you know, Tentacruel has a really high special defense, but the defensive stat was, you know, kind of lacking. It was at 65. I was always kind of worried that there's more physical Pokemon than there are special type users. So I wanted to make sure that Tentacruel could survive a hit from a physical user. Let's say that they come in and they try using Earthquake. It will try to, you know, withstand that with a certain move, and it will try to get some entry hazards out there and take care of that Pokemon who is definitely trying to be a nuisance. 24 in speed to kind of give it that extra speed boost, and the rest in hit points to give it that bulkiness that Tentacruel definitely deserves. Alright, that's our Tentacruel guide. If you guys have another Pokemon that you'd like to see being spotlighted in the next video, be sure to leave it in the comments, and the one with the most likes or the one that is mentioned the most, I will definitely try to make it happen. Tentacruel was our last one, and it was mentioned the most, so therefore it was delivered. Alright guys, if you guys liked the video, don't forget to hit that like button. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I could use all the help I can get. You guys are awesome, and thank you for watching. Alright, Murder Crew, see ya!